Hey guys, I'm Sydney and you are watching Savory Sav. So today we are going to be making a Birria taco ramen. Yes, you heard that right, Birria taco ramen. So I actually got the idea for this recipe when I saw it on one of my friend's stories and I was like, why have I not veganized this yet? First, we are going to start out with prepping our mushrooms. This is what we're going to be using as a substitute for the beef. Keep in mind that this is also a quick recipe. So typically you have to marinate your beef or meat substitute for hours, but we don't have time for that. First off, you want to make sure that your oven is heated to 375. Then I'm just going to shred my mushrooms. You actually do not want to wash them. Mushrooms retain a lot of moisture and that's why they typically get like super soggy when they're in dishes, and I feel like that's kind of why they get a bad rap. All you're going to do is take a paper towel and you just want to kind of like lightly wipe them off. Okay, so now that our mushrooms are nice and shredded, we're going to season them up with a little liquid Aminos. You just want a splash of that because this is really salty, so you don't want to overdo it. We're gonna do a little liquid smoke. That just gives it a nice smoky, beefy flavor. A little olive oil. All right, now we're gonna season this up with some garlic powder, some onion powder. Let's do a little cumin, a little chili powder, some smoked paprika, some chili lime seasoning, some adobo, of course, some umami seasoning, and some white pepper. Just a little though, you don't want it to overpower. And lastly, some slap your mama because we can't forget that. So now you're just gonna get in there with your hands, mix it all up, make sure everything is nicely coated. You want to go pretty heavy with the seasonings here because it's going to be baking, so you just really want all the flavor to bake into your mushrooms. This looks so good already. Next, we're going to take a parchment-lined baking tray and we're just going to spread these out. Okay, so you want to make sure your mushrooms are kind of nice and spread out because you don't want to overcrowd them. You want to give them, room to cook so they can be right, okay? So now this is gonna go in the oven for about 20 minutes. All right, so while our mushrooms are in the oven, we are going to chop up our vegetables. Some green bell pepper, 1 onion, and some jalapeno. All right, so our peppers, our onions, and our jalapenos are nicely chopped. I'm actually gonna check on these mushrooms, make sure they're doing what they need to do. I don't know, y'all not ready. USO. She just couldn't wait. Banger, right? So, before we get our pot going and everything, we're just going to mince up some garlic. I'm gonna be using about, I'm gonna say about 6 cloves, give or take. All right, so now we are just going to heat some olive oil in a large pan over, I would say like medium-high heat. You don't want it to be too hot, but you want your stuff to cook. So we're just gonna let that heat up for a second. First, we're gonna be adding the peppers and the onions with the jalapenos into the pan. And then once that gets fragrant, you'll know, you're gonna add the garlic after that. Next, we're gonna add Chipotle Peppers in Adobo Sauce. So this recipe is probably a 10 on the spice meter. I'm not even gonna hold y'all up. So if you are sensitive to spice, I would omit these. I usually just chop them up just loosely, just so you don't have huge chunks of chipotle peppers in your ramen. And then we're just gonna add all of this. You want the sauce to get in there too. Nice and saucy, nice and fiery, nice and smoky. Ooh, this is smelling so good, you guys. I can't wait to eat some. Okay, so after we gave that a nice little stir, we are going to add in some crushed tomatoes. We don't need this whole can. I'm only gonna add about half to it. Stir that up one more time. Next, we're gonna add some vegetable broth. I typically make my own broth using Better Than Bouillon stock. You just mix some with water. So I have some pre-prepared here, and we're just gonna add that in. Boom, like so. And next we're gonna be adding in some miso paste. You just need about, I would say, a tablespoon of this. If you guys have noticed, I don't measure anything when I cook, and I am anti-measurement because cooking is an art, not a science. You know, why does it always have to be so much pressure? It should be fun. All right, we're gonna give this another good stir. And now we are going to season this shit up, literally. So we're gonna add some salt. Not too much, you know, just a little bit. We're gonna add some fresh cloves, some onion powder and garlic powder. That's the key to vegan cooking in general. Don't be shy with the seasonings either. Some cumin, season it up, okay? Some smoked paprika. We have a pinch of chili powder. It's already hot, so we're gonna add some adobo in there. A little more umami. Some slap your mama. Some allspice. So, really quick, umami is typically a seasoning, or I suppose a taste that's in like Asian cultures, but it really goes well in any type of food because it just really like amplifies the flavors. You'll really notice a difference if you start incorporating it into your meals widely. So try it out, let me know how you like it. All right, so now that we're all seasoned up, you know, you just want to give it one more good stir, and we're gonna turn up the heat just a touch. You kind of want it just at a light boil, and then we are just going to cover this and let it simmer for about 15 minutes just so the flavors can marry, do their thing, you know. But it's already tasting great, so I'm excited. All right, so our water has just started boiling. So we're gonna add our noodles into the pot. These are just some noodles that I got from my local grocery store in like the World Food section. But you can really use any type of noodle that you prefer. You could do like a rice noodle. You could even do a udon noodle if you wanted to get crazy with it. But I like these the best because they're the closest to like a traditional ramen. So we're gonna let these boil in the water for 3 minutes, just like the pack ramen. All right, so finally we are going to plate our bowl. First, you're just going to get a nice heaping of the noodles. All right. Ladle some broth in here. Ooh, I cannot wait to eat this, you guys. It smells so good. All right, and last, I'm just gonna put a nice little heap of our mushrooms. Ooh. Let's get a little more in there because these really bang. All right, we're gonna sprinkle some vegan cheese shreds on top, a little arugula, some fresh cilantro, and we're gonna top it off with a little squeeze of lemon. All right, just gonna add some fresh tomatoes for a little color, and this looks great. Let's try it out. See how I did. All right, y'all, this is really the one and not the two. Like, the way the flavors are all just marrying together, like the smokiness from the mushroom, the little brightening of the citrus, and then the freshness that the arugula and the cilantro add. Chef's kiss. All right, so there you have it. This is how you make a Birria taco ramen. A quick and easy way to have a delicious weeknight meal. If you guys like this video, make sure you comment, like, and subscribe, and tune in for more.